In the state of his governor brother. George W. is pushing his prescription drug plan for senior citizens.
They've been talking a good talk up there in Washington, but they have been unable to lead. I want the seniors to hear me loud and clear. When I become the president, if you need help with your prescription drugs, you're going to get help with your prescription drugs. Nobody, no senior ought to go without, just because of the ingenuity and hard era.
Florida is considered to be a toss-up right now, and both Bush and Vice President Al Gore are making repeated visits here. Bush is attending a private fundraiser tonight in Palm Beach and will spend the night on the island at the Breakers Hotel. The debate over media violence and its potential effects on
Bush made a smooth landing tonight at Palm Beach International Airport, where a crowd of about 1,500 was anxiously awaiting. It's all part of a two-day, three-city campaign trip through the Sunshine State. And his timing could not be more crucial. The Texas governor is spending the night at the Breakers Hotel in Palm Beach, and News Channel 5's Diane Fernandez is there. Diane?
Jim, the timing of this visit definitely crucial for George W. Bush, especially now that Vice President Al Gore is clearly in the lead both here in Florida and throughout the country. Those numbers turning up the heat in the battle for the Sunshine State. It was a warm South Florida welcome for Texas Governor and Republican presidential nominee George W. Bush. More than 1,500 people stood 4 and 5 deep to hear and see the man they believe will be this country's next president.
I just think he's the better of the two candidates.
Bush got down to business quickly, holding $4 bills. He explained his plans for the $4 trillion surplus.
About $2.3 trillion are going to be set aside for one thing and one thing only, and that is to save Social Security. Nearly $1 trillion of that money is going to go to important programs. Programs like rebuilding the military to keep the peace.
Part of that money, he says, will also go to education and to a prescription plan he says will ensure all seniors can buy the medicines they need. The rest, he promises, will go right back where it came from, taxpayers. As an example, Bush called on this South Florida family.
They'll have nearly a 50% cut in the taxes they pay. Under my opponent's plan, they get 0 tax cut. Thank you all for coming.
Despite Al Gore's lead in the polls here in the Sunshine State, diehard supporters say Bush will take the state and the race for the White House.
I'm confident because of his education stance, putting children first, the issues, tax reduction, give us our money back, no more big government programs.
It's all doublespeak to this 12-year-old who's just happy about 2 things.
This time I had he said, "How you doing?" And I said, "Okay." Well, we had
many delighted Bush fans out there tonight. Now, Bush spent the rest of the night at a Republican Party fundraiser at the home of Bud Paxson. He is the founder of Paxson TV. While there, a transformer, we're told, blew out, showering a sheriff's deputy with debris. He was slightly burned, but has been treated and released from Good Samaritan Hospital. Tonight, the Bush camp spending the night here at the Breakers Hotel, and tomorrow they'll be getting out to Orlando, where they'll have a mid-morning rally for seniors. We're live on Palm Beach. Dan Fernandez, News Channel 5.
For their part, Democrats have and continue to pound away at the Bush plan for prescription drugs for the elderly. Earlier today, I spoke with Florida Senator Bob Graham by satellite from Washington. He is convinced.
They consider Florida to be a toss-up right now, and both Bush and Vice President Al Gore are making repeated visits to woo Florida voters. Bush attended a private fundraiser tonight in Palm Beach and will spend the night at the Breakers Hotel. During Bush's visit, a Palm Beach County deputy working on his motorcade detail got hurt on the job. A power transformer on Ocean Avenue in Palm Beach exploded and hit the deputy in the back. Investigators say he suffered only minor injuries. Bush's motorcade was unaffected.
If you plan on traveling... News 25's John Shaman continues our Commitment 2000 coverage with a look at George W. Bush's campaign stop in Palm Beach County.
Hundreds of local Republicans stood for hours behind the barricaded tarmac to get a glimpse of their candidate.
We have to have the chance to see him. I know he can't be at all places at all times.
He'll make a good president. We won't have to worry about the White House anymore.
While they waited, the crowd turned to Congressman Mark Foley for inspiration.
If we have a president in the White House and a governor in the State House, we're going to have some good things happen for Florida.
The West Palm Beach representative says he's solidly behind George W., but would like to see him focus on debt reduction as opposed to tax cuts.
I want to really ratchet down the debt and use the money that we're paying on interest on the debt to do the things that both candidates talk about.
Yeah, vamos a ganar. We're going to win the great state of Florida.
Bush talked about how he wants to give back much of the $4.3 trillion government surplus to the people.
About $2.3 trillion are going to be set aside for one thing and one thing only, and that is to save Social Security.
He also touted his prescription drug plan that would pay for coverage for millions of seniors and subsidize the coverage for others. While the mood was festive inside the airport, outside there were a few scattered protesters. Senior advocate Jewel Littenberg says the elderly would suffer under a Bush administration.
Governor Bush advocates that the elderly should be in nursing homes. Al Gore advocates that people should be cared for in their own homes.
But those comments wouldn't reach the Bush camp here. The Texas governor calling this a time for personal accountability and responsibility.
When we win, I will swear to not only uphold the laws of the land, I will also swear to uphold the honor and the integrity of the office to which I have been elected. So help me God. Thank you all for coming.
John Shainman, WPBF Eyewitness News 25.
And Bush wrapped up his night at a Republican party on Palm Beach. Tomorrow he heads to Orlando. The Texas governor also plans a return trip to the Sunshine State later this month. Meanwhile, Al Gore spent his day at an Illinois
From NBC News, Decision 2000 election night continues. Live from our election headquarters in New York, here again is Tom Brokaw.
Good evening once again, and it's already clear here at 7:30 Eastern Time in New York that the road to 270 electoral votes for either George W. Bush or Al Gore will be long and torturous before this evening is out. More states now have closed their polls. Let us tell you what is going on in them. In North Carolina, Ohio, and West Virginia, it is simply too close to call in all three of those states. Two of them, Bill Clinton won in the last two election cycles, Ohio and West Virginia. The idea that North Carolina is still too close to call does come as a surprise this evening. They are joined by these other critical states too close to call: Florida, New Hampshire, and Georgia. All of those states too close to call as well. Polls have been closed there for more than a half an hour now. We make these decisions based on interviews that we conduct with the voters as they leave the polls, but we have to be absolutely certain that they match up with the actual returns as well, that they fit the models that have worked so well for us over the years. And as we say, in a half a dozen states at this hour, it's still too close to call. Here's the national vote return so far in terms of the raw vote. This will be changing throughout the evening, of course. We want to share that with you now. The raw vote, of course, is the popular vote. The electoral vote is the one that gets you to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Just 2% of the vote has been counted thus far. George Bush has a lead there, as you can see, of about 12 points, but that is likely to change before the evening is out. To what degree, we cannot say at this hour. We also want to tell you that